Nick Tandy and Mathieu Jaminet are no strangers to success behind the wheel of a Porsche. After all, it was Jaminet who held off Vanthoor in that insane final lap of the 2022 Rolex 24 at Daytona. And Tandy who helped pilot the 919 to its first victory at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. But even for these two Porsche veterans, Road America poses a unique challenge. That's because with its narrow width and limited runoff, Road America ratchets up the intensity and chaos of GTP racing. So with Tandy and Jaminet starting all the way back in 7th position, they have their work cut out for them if they are to continue their 2-race podium streak aboard this number 6 white stripe Porsche. As the pace car pulls to the right-hand side, the field awaits the start of this 2 hour and 40-minute race as Tandy tries to anticipate the green, but it's a long hold. Finally, as they crest the hill, the green flag flies and the field accelerates down this narrow front straight. Tandy has a run on the cars in front of him, but there is nowhere to go down this front straight. He looks around the outside of the 31 Cadillac of Pipo Derani, but runs just slightly wide. And the number 25 BMW on the inside makes his way past, but Tandy brakes late around the outside of the 25 car and back up behind the 31 Cadillac. Tandy is firmly in the draft of this number 31 car, but as he pops to the right-hand side, this number 6 Porsche begins to stall and the Cadillac just starts to pull away. But as they go down the hill into the braking zone, Derani is now on the attack, looking for a way past the number 01 car as he gets a little slide on the exit with his cold Michelin tires. Tandy pokes his nose up the inside of the Cadillac and makes contact with the rear. Derani is sent spinning and now has to watch the entire LMP2 field come past before he can once again rejoin the circuit. Derani actually uses his electric motor to get back going again before bump starting his V8 and once again re-accelerating to racing speed. Now, as you might imagine, Tandy was deemed responsible for that contact in the first lap with the 31 car and had to come through the pit lane to serve a drive-through penalty. With the penalty served, Tandy is shuffled back to 10th and last place in the GTP category. But fortunately for the number 6 crew, a caution would quickly bunch up the field one more time. So, although Tandy is down in 10th position, the leader is just in front of him. And with some aggressive strategy and driving, the number 6 crew can work their way back up through this GTP field. And as they accelerate through the final corner, they are back up to racing speed one more time, with Nick Tandy chasing down the number 40 red Acura. Now, those Acuras have shown pace all day long and actually locked out the front row of the grid in qualifying. Into turn 1, Delatraz looks around the outside of Pipo Derani, but just isn't able to execute the move as they accelerate going down this hill. Derani defends to the inside one more time as Delatraz locks up and nearly gets into the back of that Cadillac. Tandy gets the run coming out of the corner and is firmly in the draft of this number 40 car. Tandy pokes his nose to the outside and uses the side draft to claw his way up alongside the number 40 car. As they head down the hill into the left-hander, Tandy is on the outside though, and Delatraz is able to hold the position ahead of the white striped Porsche. As they go up the hill, Delatraz aggressively defends going into this left-hander, but slides slightly wide as he compromised his own entry to the corner. But that Acura just looks so composed through these high-speed corners, and he is quickly, once again, all over the rear of that 31 Cadillac as we go down through the hurry downs, through this left-hander, and make our way into the long right-hander known as the carousel. Through the carousel, the 40 car closes in on the 31 of Derani, who just slides slightly wide at the exit, allowing the 40 of Delatraz to sweep his way past as they make their way through the kink, shuffling Derani down to 9th position and once again into the clutches of Nick Tandy, who is just behind. Into Canada corner, Derani once again defends the inside line and compromises his exit, with Tandy looking for a way past as they go into Bill Mitchell Bend. This fast uphill left-hander leads into the final right-hander of the lap as they make their way back onto the front straight. Derani sliding slightly wide of that crucial final corner, but as they make their way up the hill, Tandy is too far back to make any move. With the straight continuing though, Tandy is closing in on the 31 car. Durrani defends to the inside and breaks earlier than the number 6 Porsche of Tandy, who goes around the outside and holds the position up into 9th place for the white stripe Porsche, with the 31 shuffled down to 10th and last in the GTP category. With Tandy past the number 31 Wheel and Engineering car, he can set his sights on the number 40 Acura ahead, which is battling with the 85 JDC Miller privately entered Porsche. And he looks up the inside into Canada Corner and makes contact with the banana boat, and Tandy is able to slide past both of them up into 7th position. With the stint continuing, Tandy wants to continue his forward progress through the GTP field and has caught his teammate Dane Cameron in the number 7 black stripe Porsche. Into turn 5, and Cameron goes up the inside of the 27 Heart of Racing Aston Martin as these two have caught the GTD traffic. Through turn 6, and Cameron is stuck behind the 23 Heart of Racing Aston Martin. And into turn 7, there is just nowhere for Cameron to go. He accelerates past on the right-hand side, with Tandy sweeping to the left. We can see just how difficult it is to manage traffic around this tight Road America circuit. Through the carousel, Tandy looks to go around the outside of the Turner Racing BMW, but ends up in the marbles, loses grip, and is passed by the GTD car. With his exit compromised, the 31 Wheel and Engineering Cadillac makes a move to the right-hand side out of nowhere. Pipo Durrani re-overtakes Nick Tandy for 6th position and makes his way through the traffic as they head into Canada Corner. Just one tiny misjudgment from Tandy, which forces him into the marbles, and instead of attacking his teammate in the 7 car, he is losing positions to Pipo Durrani in the number 31 Wheel and Engineering Cadillac. And as Durrani exits the final corner and makes his way onto the front straight, he pulls to the right-hand side and into the pit lane, allowing Tandy to once again retake that 6th position. With this number 6 Porsche hurtling down the front straight, the number 7 black stripe car has once again caught traffic, and Tandy closes the gap through the fast right-hander, using all of the road on the exit as he tries to close in on his teammate. Into turn 3, and he sneaks up the inside of the Triarci Ferrari and is all over the rear deck of Dane Cameron, who sneaks past the 55 Proton Mustang. Finally, with some clear track ahead of them, Cameron can try to pull away from Tandy behind. But as they go through the kettle bottoms and into Canada Corner, he is still not able to do so, and Tandy continues to close in on the black stripe Porsche just ahead. Now, although they are teammates, the number 7 car leads the championship, and the number 6 is in 3rd place. So if the 6 crew wants to win the championship, they have to start finishing ahead of this number 7 car. But with just over an hour of the race complete, these two Porsches pull to the right-hand side and into the pit lane as Tandy nearly gets into the back of his teammate, Dane Cameron. And as they trundle down this long pit lane, they pass the number 01 Cadillac, which is completing its pit stop, and the two Porsches pull into their pit box. The number 7 crew jumps over the wall to change tires and exchange Dane Cameron for Felipe Nasr, as Jaminet jumps aboard the 6 car, relieving Tandy of his duties. With the stop complete, the 6 car is waved on its way and passes the number 7 of Felipe Nasr. But although he is ahead, Jaminet is now on cold tires and is going to be struggling on this outlap. Jumping aboard the 65 Ford Mustang, we can see just how little grip Jaminet has as he slides wide, with the Mustang sliding through a GTD Pro car, passing a GTP through the corners. That's how little grip they have on these outlaps. But with Jaminet exiting turn 3, he is finally on a straightaway and able to unleash the full fury of his Porsche motor as he passes the V8 engine of that Mustang GT3. We can trade one Detroit V8 for another and jump aboard the 31 car with Jack Aiken as he chases down the two Porsches which are on cold tires. Through turn 5, we can see Aiken closing in on this 7 car, and into turn 6, We can see just how much Nasser is struggling as Aiken looks to go around the outside through turn 7, but Nasser retakes the racing line. Aiken gets a much better exit though and pops to the right-hand side as he squeezes past around the outside in the braking zone as they make their way into the carousel. With this lap continuing, he has caught the rear of Jaminet, but time is not on Aiken's side because the longer it takes for him to catch the number 6 Porsche, the easier it will be for Jaminet to defend his position as his tires heat up. Through turn 1, Jaminet squeezes up the inside of the 4 Corvette, but Aiken has caught the number 6 car. As they make their way into turn 3, it looks as though Jaminet has temperature in his tires now. Aiken is no longer closing on this white striped Porsche. Down this long winding straight and into turn 5, we can see that Porsche beginning to pull away from the 31 Cadillac. Aiken brakes as late as he dares as they go down the hill. Jaminet slides ever so slightly wide, but Aiken is not able to close the gap. As they go over the crest and through this tricky left-hander, Aiken continues to pile on the pressure, but Jaminet begins to pull away through the fast right-hander. And as they go down through the hurry downs, he has begun to build a gap on the 31 car. We can jump slightly ahead though, aboard the 25 BMW with Yellowly, who is in a battle for podium position as he slides wide into the grass and hits the wall on the exit of the carousel. Just behind, Jaminet and Aiken come across the wreckage from the 25 BMW and slowly make their way through as the field is once again under safety car condition. With the field ready to go back racing, Aiken lines up in 4th position, with Jaminet in 3rd, just behind the number 10 Acura of Ricky Taylor, with, surprisingly, the privately entered Mustang sampling Porsche leading the field. And as they exit the final corner, Ricky Taylor gets a great launch and pulls to the right-hand side as they go over the crest. Ricky Taylor makes his way alongside and then past the number 5 privately entered Porsche to retake the race lead. Bent Fiscal looks for a way past Ricky Taylor as they make their way into turn 1, but he locks up as he hits the brakes, and Jaminet closes in on the exit. He pulls to the right-hand side, but Fiscal defends. Jaminet brakes late around the outside of the number 5 Porsche and makes his way past the black and gold car as Aiken now looks to close in on Bent Fiscal. Aiken closes in on the 5 Porsche. He pops to the left-hand side, but Fiscal defends. Aiken then looks around the outside as they hit the brakes going down the hill into turn 5. He is able to make his way past that number 5 Porsche and closes in on Jaminet just ahead. Aiken peeks to the inside as they go over the crest, but there is no room for that number 31 car. And as they accelerate out of turn 6 through turn 7, that number 6 Porsche begins to slowly pull away from the 31 Cadillac of Jack Aiken. It does seem like the number 31 car does a slightly better job at tire warm-up compared to this number 6 Porsche, but as that 6 Porsche builds temperature in its tires, it begins to slowly pull away from the number 31 car. As Aiken squeezes the throttle on the exit of the carousel, they make the short chute down to the kink. You have to be so committed through here, and Aiken begins to close in on Jaminet. Now into Canada corner, Aiken brakes as late as he dares, closes into the rear deck of that Porsche, but just isn't close enough to make a move. And Jaminet is able to hold on to his 2nd position as he makes his way through the fast left-hander. But with the caution flag coming out, the field is once again neutralized. And this leads to a critical moment in the race because the number 10 Acura of Ricky Taylor pulls into the pit lane for a splash of fuel with just under 30 minutes remaining. But with so much of this last hour being run behind the safety car, the number 6 crew believes they've saved enough fuel to make it to the end of the race without stopping. So, with just over 15 minutes left in the race, Jaminet accelerates out of the final corner to lead the field back to green. And as they hurdle their way down the front straight into turn 1, Aiken moves to the inside to dissuade the cars behind from making a move. Jaminet is slightly wide of the apex, but keeps his foot in it and uses all of the road on the exit as he pushes that Porsche to its limit to stay ahead of Aiken. Through the carousel, and we can see that Jaminet has begun to build a gap on Aiken. But as they make their way through the kink, Jaminet gets a little bit of understeer, has a bad exit, and Aiken has the run on the white striped Porsche. Down into Canada corner they go. Aiken looks to the right-hand side, but then moves to the left to break late around the outside. They make contact at the apex. Aiken is run wide over the rumble strips, and Jaminet is able to hold the position as they make their way through this fast left-hander. Jaminet kicks up dust on the exit as he uses every inch of road possible to keep that number 6 Porsche in the lead. Back on the front straight, and this time it's Aiken defending his position. He pulls to the right-hand side to try to keep the number 7 Porsche behind him, but Nazar in that black striped car pulls his way past and chops to the right to block Aiken from making a move into turn 1. Aiken breaks late around the outside one more time though, but once again, off the road, he loses grip and has to fall in behind the number 7 Porsche. Although Aiken may be down, he is still not out, because with this race closing in on the end, they are about to encounter traffic, and this GTD traffic has the potential to completely shake up this GTP race. Aiken breaks late into turn 5 and just loses the rear as he closes in on Felipe Nasr. That gives Ricky Taylor the opportunity to make his way past the Cadillac and up into third position. Up ahead of both of them, though, is Jaminet, who needs to manage this traffic perfectly to maintain the lead of the race. Down into turn 8, and he is catching up to the number 64 Mustang, with Jack Aiken just behind him, chasing down that number 10 Acura of Ricky Taylor. Through the carousel, and Taylor is caught behind that GTD car. With Aiken closing in, Jaminet makes his way past the Ford Mustang on the exit. Next up is the GTD Aston Martin, and as he makes his way past, the Aston Martin pulls to the right, and he has to go 2 wheels in the dirt to avoid making contact. I can't say it enough times. The tight confines of the circuit and the winding nature of the straights make overtaking so difficult at this track as Jaminet makes his way past the 65 Mustang through Bill Mitchell Bend. We can see just behind, though, is Felipe Nasr and that number 7 Porsche. And as the Mustang exits onto the front straight, Nasr uses all of the road to try to catch the sister car, with the number 10 Acura of Ricky Taylor hustling just behind, and Jaminet encountering an absolute gaggle of GTD traffic on this final lap. Jaminet sneaks up the inside of a GTD Ferrari as he makes his way through turn 1. But I want you to look up the road, because there are 2 Mercedes going through turn 3 right now that get caught behind a slow Cadillac. The number 32 car has to slide to avoid making contact with the rear of the 01 car, and the number 6 and 7 Porsches come flying past, with a 7 car having to go off the road to avoid making contact with 2 GTD cars that go side by side. And the same exact thing happens with the 31 Cadillac of Jack Aiken, as Jaminet is now behind that slow Cadillac and makes contact with the rear as they go through turn 5. This has to be one of the most chaotic final laps that I have ever seen in IMSA racing. As Jaminet makes his way through turn 7, he has now caught the rear of 2 Corvettes. He sweeps his way past the number 4 car as they make their way down into turn 8, and looks to make his way past the number 3 as well. As they head into the carousel, Jaminet pokes his nose up the inside of the number 3 car, but thinks better of it as the Corvette takes the racing line. And on the exit, Jaminet squeezes the throttle and makes his way past the number 3 car, with the 7 coming flashing past, and the 10 as well in hot pursuit. Dust is being kicked up left and right as they struggle to make their way through this GTD traffic. Down into Canada corner, and Ricky Taylor looks to make his way past Felipe Nasr for second position, but just isn't able to execute the move. Into turn 13, Nasr sneaks up the inside of Roxy, with that Porsche compromising the 10's exit. The 31 car has the speed, but nowhere to go. And as they make their way through the final corner, it was a chaotic final lap but Jaminet is able to hold on to first position and claim the victory. The 1-2 for Penske Porsche. As we hear Jaminet screaming in the background. Now, for drivers of the pedigree of him and Tandy, this might not be one of their more iconic victories, but it was certainly one of their most exciting. Anyways, if you guys made it this far, I want to thank you so much for watching, so much for supporting. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you again for watching. Love you. I'll see you next time.